It's the PT special feature, Future of the Game, and we're focusing on money in football this week. UEFA fined Manchester City 60 million euros and restricted Champions League squad. This was from the 16th of May 2014. UEFA fined Man City £49 million and restricted their Champions League squad to 21 for this season for the breach of financial fair play rules. The club owned by Sheikh Mansour snatched the league title last weekend at this point. But they'll have to curb their spending transfer market for the next 2 seasons and freeze their wage structure in order to escape further punishment. French champions Paris Saint-Germain, who were charged with similar breaches, have been hit with the same punishment. Should the club successfully fulfill the operational and financial measures agreed with the UEFA club financial control body, they will be able to reclaim 40 million euros of the fine and have the squad restriction lifted in time for the 2015-2016 Champions League. And I'm going to come back to that. Man City accepted the sanctions, so it's one of them was, and to significantly limit spending in the transfer market for seasons 2014-2015 and 2015-2016, said UEFA. Now, Champions League blow for Man City and Paris Saint-Germain softened. So on June 11th, though the two clubs were punished for failure to comply with financial fair play with reduced squads for European competition, the required number of homegrown players is relaxed. I'm going to stick on this in a minute. Man City and Paris Saint-Germain will only have to name 5 homegrown players in their reduced 2014 and 2015 Champions League squads. Under UEFA rules, 8 members of a full-size Champions League squad must be home-trained, and had this number been retained in the reduced City and PSG A-list, their room for manoeuvre in the transfer market might have been significantly hindered. However, following pressure from International Players Union FIF Pro, which was concerned about the potential impact of the punishments on its members, City and PSG will only need to select 5 homegrown players into their streamlined groups. Anyway, Manchester City's FFP fine to be shared out among Champions League clubs. This is from Tuesday 9th of September 2014. Man City's huge fine for breach of UEFA's financial fair play rules is to be shared out around the other clubs in the Champions League. City were fined £49 million for the FFP breaches, but will only have to pay around $20 million if they comply with the break-even rules in future seasons. The first payments from City, Paris Saint-Germain and also Zenit St. Petersburg will total $20 million and will be split among the Champions League and Europa League clubs who did comply with the rules last season. A similar sum will be distributed to clubs who comply with the FFP rules in this season's European competitions. That means Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, Swansea and Wigan are the English clubs in line for a windfall of around £200,000. The European Clubs Association, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, said UEFA had agreed the fines should go to other clubs. Now, an interesting one coming back to May again, from the 29th of May. Torino to replace Parma in the Europa League after losing UEFA appeal. The Emilian outfit have had their appeal against the UEFA ban dismissed after withholding a huge tax bill, allowing Gianpiero Ventura's side to feature in the competition. Torino will take Parma's spot in this season's Europa League after the Ennio Tardini side were not granted a UEFA license. Parma had finished 6th in Serie A after a dramatic final day of action. Pippin Ventura's men to the post thanks to a 2-0 win. But they got barred from European competition after they were judged to have withheld a figure of just under £300,000 in income tax. They had lodged an appeal to the High Court, but it refused to overturn the decision, meaning that Torino will take their place. Now, speaking of transfers and bans and embargoes and all that kind of thing, Barcelona can buy and sell players this summer after FIFA suspended its ban on the club. It's from the 23rd of April 2014. The Spanish Giants were given a 14-month ban after being found to have breached rules on signing international players under the age of 18. However, the suspension was on hold pending an appeal. FIFA rejected the appeal on the 20th of August 2014 against the transfer ban. Barcelona will be unable to sign players until January 2016 once the current transfer window had closed, which it now has. After the world governing body FIFA rejected the club's appeal against the transfer ban, the Spaniards were given the 14-month ban after being found to have breached rules on signing international players under the age of 18. It was suspended, which allowed them to sign Luis Suarez, from Liverpool, as well as Vermaelen from Arsenal, Claudio Bravo from Real Sociedad, and Ivan Rakitic as well. But you know what? One important thing in terms of financial fair play, UEFA has defeated on the 20th of May 2014, UEFA defeated the legal challenge to its financial fair play rules, which have been upheld by the European Commission. The rules, which require clubs to move towards financially breaking even and have recently been enforced for the first time, were challenged last year by Daniel Striani, a player's agent registered in Belgium. Striani, represented by Belgian lawyer Jean-Louis Dupont, argued that regulations would restrict investment in clubs, lock in the power of the big clubs by preventing others indulging in huge spending, and dampen down players' wage and transfer fee inflation. In a letter sent to Striani, copied to UEFA, the European Commission rejected the complaint, saying it does not intend to investigate it any further. It argued that financial fair play rules apply to clubs, not to players' agents, and therefore Striani has no legitimate interest in complaining about them. The European Commission said Striani's complaint that FFP would decrease transfer activity had not been further substantiated, and it had received no other complaints at all in almost 4 years since the rules were introduced. No club has made a complaint to the European Commission, which noted that it was widely consulted about the rules before they were passed. The clubs, organisations and leagues represented at UEFA unanimously supported the rules being introduced. Now, Lots to take in there, but UEFA defeating, I'll take this in reverse order. UEFA defeating a legal challenge to financial fair play rules, that's all well and good, but Platini has already buggered over financial fair play anyway. He's the one who created it and came up with it, and yet he's done more to destroy the credibility of those rules. Hilarious. Platini, you know my view on you. Listen to previous PT shows if you don't believe me, but the fact of the matter is, from an ex-player, I would expect a lot more. But coming back, Barcelona, FIFA rejecting the appeal and saying, we're going to uphold this suspension. Well done, FIFA. Well done, FIFA. You've upheld the suspension after Barcelona have done all their business. Well done. Well done. Day late and $1 short again. Blatter and Co., congratulations. And once again, the powers that be in football utterly frustrate me. Day late and $1 short once again. But Torino replacing Parma in the Europa League after losing the UEFA appeal. It's one of them ones. It seems like the decision of that appeal went through pretty quickly. It went through pretty quickly. Because, what was it? The last day of the season, Parma got their place. And then May 29th, which was a week and a half, 2 weeks later, then UEFA say, right, you're not in the Europa League anymore, Torino are taking your place. A conveniently quick decision, eh? Conveniently quick. See what happens when you're a smaller club? But Man City's financial fair play fine to be shared out among the Champions League clubs, along with Paris Saint-Germain and Zenit St. Petersburg. I have no real problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is that, for me, let me come back. Before I tell you the problem I have with it, I think it's a good thing that they're redistributing it amongst the other clubs because it's an incentive. A financial incentive to play within the rules, which is good. But Man City and Paris Saint-Germain's Champions League blows, being softened by, you don't have to have 8 homegrown players, you have to have 5. Again, UEFA, day late and $1 short. If you had kept it to 8, that would have been a better punishment for the pure fact that it would have made those two teams realize, oh crap, we have to have 8 players. Not now out of a 21-man squad. Sorry, out of a 25-man squad. Now it's a 21-man squad. Damn, we've got even less wiggle room. Now we really do have to make sure that in future seasons we adhere to the rules so we don't get stung for this again, because this is going to hurt us. Once again, UEFA. Once again, Platini. Well done, idiots. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, again, with the original sanction, 49 million pounds, aka 60 million euros, but the clubs can reclaim 40 million euros of that back and have the squad restriction lifted in time for next season, the 2015-2016 season. No, Brendan, no. Once again, to quote John Cena's basic thugonomics tune, like a broken needle, kid, you're missing the point, Platini. You're missing the point. You're sanctioning them, but you're basically giving them leeway and giving them a way out. It's like, no. If you're going to punish someone, follow through with the punishment. Follow through to the fullest extent of the punishment. It's like being charged with murder and getting a life sentence, but then you can get out in 10 to 15 years for good behavior. Brethren, no, I don't agree with that, and I don't agree with the way UEFA are doing this with FFP. Like I said a minute ago, Platini and his bunch of clowns are look like they're doing everything in their own power to undermine their own goddamn rules. I'm sorry, but this is bloody frustrating. Oh God, Jazzy Gman, what do you think of this, man? Because my blood pressure's going up.
No, I have to say I'm inclined to agree with you. I really am. This is very much like what's the metaphor that I'm looking for here? There's literally no sense behind this punishment. You know, it's like an attack dog with no teeth.
There we go. I mean, do you want to carry on?
For me, I'm like, for what it's worth, this whole system of quote unquote punishments, just throw it out the window. Put it in the bin. Yeah, just get rid of it. Like, literally, there's no point, right? If you were going to legitimately punish these teams, then punish them, right? Easing up the rules on homegrown players. No, if anything, they have to play more homegrown players.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not willing to do that. Yeah, I can see the redistribution of the money from PSG and Man City, but why are you going to give it to clubs that are already rich?
Yeah. Well, it's a case of why not put it back into grassroots football or youth football? Why not? Or even give it, or even to the women's game. If you want to see that survive and thrive.
Here's my thing, right? You can split it 3 ways or even 4 ways, right? Portion of it goes into the pot for the Europa League to make the Europa League even more incentivized. Yeah. Portion of that goes to the women's game. Portion of that goes to youth.
Yeah,
and a portion of that
around the game.
Yeah, and a portion of that goes to grassroots in all of those representative countries.
Yeah, next gen, that's a good one. I mean,
Done.
UEFA have got their own version of that.
Done. Right? Instead, you want to give it to people that are already rich. How does that help the game in any kind of way, shape, or form?
Yeah.
They don't need that money, right?
I mean, in part, I'm in agreement with it because at the end of the day, at least it's a financial incentive to those playing within the rules. But there are better places that money could go.
But here's my thing, right? I know that it's important that you play within the rules, all the rest of it, blah, blah, blah. Okay? But my personal opinion on it is this. I shouldn't be paying you more money for following the rules that I've set. That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right? You already make enough money as it is from the existing rules. So me giving you this little insignificant top up, what does that do? Nothing. Right? Because it's not going to make any sort of significance in, the positives or the negatives of what your outlay is going to be, right? I'm like, put it somewhere else. Yeah, have strict rules as to where that goes in terms of developing the future of the game. G-Man put it out next gen. Put it all in that if you really want to. Or I tell you what, if football is really the game for the people, if it's really all about the fans, why not subsidize ticket prices? I've seen that as an idea.
Oh yeah.
To benefit all the fans in the Champions League. Go and say, right, because of this, the way that we're going to give back to the people, okay, make ticket prices cheaper. You have certain clubs within the Champions League doing that anyway. So why not do it for everyone? Make it affordable. Have more fans in the stadium. If you really want to be beneficial. But as you say, there is literally no point in saying you're going to punish someone, and then when you go to do it, it's half-hearted.
It's reneging on the deals.
Yeah, it's either we're punishing, right, or we're just gonna say it's all right. Whereas right about now, this is the ultimate mixed message being sent out. To the point where I would argue, what are you even aiming to do in this whole process? What is your end game? Do you even have one? And if you don't, then why are we bothering with this in the first place? You know, like, what are you trying to achieve? None of that seems to be clear here, because one minute you're taking away, or with one hand you're taking away, and the other one you're giving it back. So how are you actually developing anything if essentially you're keeping everything stagnant? That's my question. So, you know, as I said, I see all of this, and I don't see the point. Personally, right, if you're going to punish Manchester City and PSG, yeah, money, for me personally, is not the way to do it unless it's an excessive amount of money, which it's not. I would have said, if you're going to do it with money, I'd say money and a transfer ban. Transfer embargo.
But then you got the Barcelona thing,
And
where it's like, yeah, we're going to give you a transfer ban, but we're going to suspend it, allow you to do your business, and then invoke it.
And that's the other thing. It's like, no, the embargo should have been effective immediately, and there's no negotiation.
Yeah. Or it'd be one of them ones, effective immediately, and if your appeal is successful, then we'll
delay it. Yeah. But
rather than, we'll hold it off, let you appeal, then after the window closes, we'll enforce it. It's like,
there's literally no
a day
point.
late and a dollar short.
Literally no point. With the signings that they've made now, do they actually need to go and sign anybody next season? No.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was the point? Again, in one hand you're taking away, the other one you're giving it straight back. So again, forget that. I'm like, either you're punishing them and you're saying, as I say, it's effective immediately, you can't sign anyone, and this is what we're going to do to you, or we just don't bother. For me, as I say, it's giving with one hand and taking away with the other. So what are you trying to do? You know, I look at it like, you know, the development of young children. If you tell them something's bad, you can't be telling them it's good at the same time. And that's essentially what's going on here.
And all I can say as a rating for the powers that be is
-5 stars.
But that's what I had to say about that. Gman, what do you think?
No, you know what? I just wanted to add like something's rotten in Lucian on this one, because you know, I'm somewhat of a conspiracy theorist, and I just want to focus on Barcelona a little. You both said quite a lot on it, and just to hone in on the whole favoritism of the bigger team. And that's what it all looks like to me, because
with the Torino one,
Torino, as you said, you know, they didn't think twice about disciplining them.
Well, Parma were disciplined, and then Torino got jumped into the Europa.
Well, I'll say, Parma, they didn't think twice about disciplining them. However, with the whole Barcelona thing, it's like, you know, because they're the Catalan giants and the, you know, the Spanish big boys and, you know, European favourables, they just get favoured treatment. And you've already touched on the point about what they should have done. And for me, I hate to throw a conspiracy around, but I just think, you know, something's rotten there. You know, towards to help Barcelona get their deals through. Also, just add it with the Luis Suarez thing, Luis Suarez ban. Just add it with that, the way that shifted and moved around. So it's like, it just looks doubly bad.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's all that. I mean, Mike Harneman, you wanted to jump in as well before we move on.
Yeah, you three have all got it spot on for me. Even Gman mentioning Luis Suarez, I've said about it in the chat. They've said, well, a number of different things about Suarez now. I think people are basically at a loss of what he's actually allowed to do and what he can't do. As for the sort of homegrown thing as well, I think, yeah, there should be more homegrown players in there, because the national team's underperforming anyway. So when the national team continues to underperform, which he's going to do without youth players being able to come through their clubs and actually, you know, be brought into the sides for their actual club sides, then there's not going to be the players there for the national teams either as well.
I mean, that's a great shout, and I mean, it's just one of them. Was for a team like Manchester City, I would have kept that at 8. I would have kept that at 8 homegrown players, and even so, the homegrown rule, as we've mentioned on shows before, has a huge loophole in it anyway. So what? So it looks even more stupid that UEFA have reduced it.
And even the Torino thing as well. That goes back to Celtic being allowed to come back into the Champions League. It's a similar situation to that all over again.
Well, at least it was one of them ones where, we predicted that Celtic. Well, I was hoping that Celtic it'd be like, yeah, you get reinstated. Okay, cool. I hope you lose. I hope you lose just so you don't get into the Champions League by default. So there's one of them ones.
Celtic are not there on merit. And it's exactly the same.
Well, they're down in Europa. They're down in the Europa League because they got reinstated into the qualifiers, but they got found out.
Yeah, but Celtic are not there on merit. But then neither are Torino either, because their league position, obviously they finished below whoever it was in the league. So they're not there on merit.
Yeah.
From their league position, they wouldn't be in Europe.
Yeah, I mean it's
just like Man United, you know.
Oh crap! Oh, but it's like Roma a few years ago when they got into the Champions League by default because of all the Luciano Moggi stuff. So, powers that be, UEFA, FIFA, our own FA. Maybe you want to tune in to your Monday Night Football and fix.